Welcome to the three schools that are joining us today. Mary K. Good Elementary, Legacy Elementary, and of course Lake George Elementary. It's great to have you all on board my vehicle, and I hope you're ready to ask lots of questions about elephants and all the other wonderful wildlife here in Africa. My name is Taylor, and on camera with me today is Craig. And remember, if you do want to ask any questions, all you have to do is ask your teacher. I think we're going to have to go a little bit closer to those elephants, because you saw how far away they were. My goodness, they must almost be a mile away. Well, especially the route that we're going to go, it's probably even a little bit more than that. So we've got to follow this pathway. The animals can go wherever they want. We, however, must stick to the little roads until we get there. Then we can make a different decision. So we're going to go all the way around, and eventually we'll catch up with them and hopefully have a nice close sighting with them. But we'll see what else we can find along the way. And it's a beautiful day out here today. Actually, we have to ask Nikki what the temperature is. Nikki, what is the temperature today? I normally try and guess the temperature. I'm going to say it's about 78 degrees Fahrenheit. But I think I could be wrong. Maybe it's warmer. Almost. It's 83 degrees Fahrenheit today, or 28 degrees Celsius. So not too hot. It's actually a very nice day. It's beautiful out here. Now, it isn't just me taking you on this safari adventure today. Tristan will be joining us a bit later, but now you're off to meet Brent.
Well, hello. And listen to that. So, we are next to a big waterhole. We have buffalo, we have hippos, we have a baby crocodile, we've got some birds. Everything's happening here at the Chitwa waterhole. My name is Brent, and I've got my good friend Sebastian on camera, and it's great to have all of you here for your very own school safari. Isn't that exciting? So exciting. So let's look at the buffalo. It's a very small herd of buffalo we have here at the moment, and they were probably part of a bigger herd. Last night the lions were chasing buffalo all over the place, so they split the herds into these smaller groups, and these poor poor buffalo have trying to run away from the lions. These ones have successfully done so. They've got far away from the lions, and some of them are now having a good mud bath. Others are having a little swim. Of course, they've got to be careful. A big adult buffalo is too big for a crocodile, but if any of the little baby buffalo go swimming, there are some big crocodiles here that might try eat them. Now, I haven't seen any big crocodiles yet today, but I have seen a baby crocodile. So there he is, Sabi. You see him there, almost in the reflection of the. Here we go, a little bit to the right. There he is, just to the left of the reflection of the goose. There's a little head sticking out of the water. There's a baby crocodile. Oh, we can hear the whistling ducks calling. Now, I can't wait. There we go, he's swimming now. Good crocodile. So he can show you where he is. Lincoln. Hello, Lincoln. And buffalo are very big, Lincoln, and they are very strong. Lincoln was asking about how strong are buffalo. They are very strong, Lincoln. And they could even throw a lion up into the air, and they can weigh up to about 1,500, 1,600 pounds. Oh, that one's got a funny pink nose. Hi, Carter. Carter, buffalo are herbivores. Herbivores means they eat plants, and even more specifically, buffalo are grazers, which means they eat grass. So they eat grass, and lions eat buffalo. In this part of the world, they are the lion's favorite food, but they're not easy food to catch. You can see they've got those big horns that they can defend themselves with if the lions attack. So they are quite a formidable prey. Oh, there's a little argument going on there. Now, as I said, it's not only buffalo here. We've got some hippopotamus as well that are lounging in the water. Now, the hippos are also grazers. So hippos also eat grass, but they only eat grass at night. They'll spend their day in the water because they don't like getting sunburnt. And hippos have very sensitive skin, and you can see, oh, look, there's a sleeping hippo. You can see the pink around the ears. The hippo will secrete a substance which is like natural sunscreen for the areas around their eyes, their nose, and their ears that is out of the water. Oh, is he going to open his mouth for us? Are you? No, he's still going to continue snoozing. Now, this is one of the biggest water holes in this part of the Sabi Sands, and Robert. There we go. You can see how big it is, Robert. Robert, it's about, I would say, 5 or 6 acres in size, the water hole. So we're right at the bottom of it. It goes up quite far up ahead. Now, I've been talking about grazers. Now, not only are buffalo and hippo grazers and mammals, some bird species are also grazers. So if we have a look on our left, and there we go, you'll see there are some Egyptian geese, and these geese are also grazers and grass eaters. So there we go, marching around eating the grass. Now remember that coming up in April is Draw a Bird Day. So you must remember that we expect all of you guys to draw a bird for Draw a Bird Day. It will be really, really wonderful if you draw a bird. And how about this? Why don't you draw a bird that you might see on the safari? I'm sure your teachers can help you with that. So why don't you draw an African bird? Or you could draw 2 birds. You could draw an African bird and an American bird. Now, there we go. We have seen wildebeest on some of the safaris, and Gwen is asking, are buffaloes related to wildebeest? Well, Gwen, they are in the sort of grand scheme of things, but they are not a close relation of wildebeest at all. Buffalo are more closely related to cows. Wildebeest is an antelope, where the buffalo is a species of wild cow. So they are related, but in this, as closely related as a cow is to a wildebeest. Now, when the buffalo are around, the lions might follow, but I think these buffalo have managed to escape. Look at them enjoying a nice afternoon dip on a hot day. Now, buffalo are a lion's favorite food, Antonio. That is why they run away from the lions, because lions like to eat buffalo. So in different parts of Africa, lions have different favorite foods. In this part of Africa, buffalo is a lion's favorite food. Now, as you can see, there's probably about 40 to 50 buffalo in this herd. And in this area, lion herds can get up to 500-600. So as I said, the average herd size here is probably 100 to 200 buffalo. But because they've been chased by lions, they've been split into the smaller groups. And it looks like the buffalo are deciding that they are done with the water hole. And it looks like they're going to move off and start grazing on the lovely green grass that's nearby. Now, I'm going to leave the buffalo for now. I'm going to go see if I can find a leopard. And I'm hoping there's one not too far away. So let's go see what Taylor is up to for her afternoon.
we are still heading to those elephants that we saw at the beginning of the show. Remember, I said it was a little bit of a drive away, because unfortunately, unlike the birds, I don't have any wings and I couldn't fly straight there. Otherwise, we probably would have been there by now. So we just need to go through this little dip. And once we go through this little dip, I think we should start seeing the elephants. Now, Arthur or Arga? Sorry, Nikki. Ava. Hello, Ava. Sorry. I think that's how we pronounce your name. Go under this tree quickly. Now, you were wondering if the elephants use their tusks to ever fight off predators. I suppose they can, but they normally just use their big size and their trunks and their ears, and they trumpet and make all sorts of noise to try and scare the predators away. But you won't believe what happened. Hopefully Tristan will be out soon. Sure, it's very sad. But there was a big elephant bull, a big boy, that killed another elephant yesterday, or 2 days ago. No, yesterday. It was very, very sad. And he used his tusks to kill him, because the males fight out here for the girls. So that happened, and we might be able to go and have a look at that a little bit later and see what's been eating it. Even though it's very sad that that elephant did die, it's going to provide lots and lots and lots of food for nature. Here's a little baby elephant. Hi, elephants. Look at all of them. I think this might be Fang's herd. There we go. Now, we've got a whole family of elephants here, lots of them, and I think it might be one of our favorite elephants' herds. Her name is Fang, and we'll try and see if we can find her. She's got a big tusk that turns back. I'm actually going to point out which one I think it is. That one there in the bushes. Let's see. Yes, it is. It looks like her. Look at that big tusk growing the wrong way around. It didn't get the information that it was supposed to point to the ground and not back towards her belly, which is quite cool. But Patrick, as we watch these elephants, they're moving around quite a bit, but what you will notice that they do, even when they walk, is that they're eating. And you've just asked that, what do elephants eat? Well, elephants can eat lots and lots of different things, but they're only eating all the vegetation. So they're eating leaves, they eat grass, they love tree bark and bulbs, and they even push over big trees to get their roots. And their favorite tree at the moment, but sadly there's not much left, is the marula tree and their fruits. But they've stopped dropping their fruits at the moment. Hello, little elephant. Now that little one over there is probably still struggling and trying to learn how to use its trunk, so it will probably find feeding quite difficult. Hello, little elephant. This is so cool. I wish you were here with me to be surrounded with the elephants. Now, these elephants are very, very busy, and they are busy for most of the day. Can you believe it? They barely stop to have a nap. So, Djuma, they can sleep standing up. That's actually how they have naps. They have siestas, and they'll just stand there very quietly. They'll close their eyes. They'll put their trunks on the floor. Sometimes you see them even cross their legs, and then they're little babies, because, you know, it's tiring walking around all day with mom and the sisters and brothers and aunties and grandmothers. So sometimes they'd lay down on the floor and have a sleep. But you don't often see the big, fully grown elephants having naps laying down. They tend to stand up most of the time. But they don't need to have a lot of sleep. If they can have half an hour of sleep a day, my goodness, that'll be great for them. I suppose that's like you and I having 4 to 6 hours of sleep. Now, we're not going to go anywhere. We're going to sit with these elephants and see if they're going to go to the watering hole to have a drink. Let's go back to Brent, who's got another animal that loves to play in the water.
Yes, it's definitely one of the prettiest of our duck species. They are called whistling ducks, and we heard them calling, and they flew over us when we were here a bit earlier. They are very, very pretty. Now, they can move big distances between different water holes during the summer months and winter months, and they are very, very pretty birds. And just behind them to the left, we've got some more hippos having a snooze. We'll just go back to that hippo quickly. There's something on its back. There we go. There's an oxpecker. a bird that eats ticks and other ectoparasites. Ectoparasites are little, or mostly arachnids that will bite and harm the animals, so the birds will eat them off the animals. Now, as you can see, the hippos are snoozing in the water, Piper, and yes, they will come out of the water. They will head out onto the grasslands when the sun goes down, so they are nocturnal feeders, so they feed at night on grass, so they do leave the water, but only once it gets dark. And unlike the elephants, the hippos like a good snooze. See, there we go, Patrick. They are definitely nocturnal. Now, there's always a lot of life around the waterholes, and we have a very cool big eagle that eats fish, sitting on a dead tree looking for its next meal. There we go. That is what we call an African fish eagle. It has similar coloring to the American bald eagle, but it is quite a bit smaller. So that is an African fish eagle. Now, hippos are mammals, so mammals breathe oxygen. So hippos do not breathe underwater, Ruby. When they go underwater, they hold their breath, and they can hold their breath for up to about 5 minutes. So there we go. You can see, wait for it. As it lifts its nose out of the water, it will breathe again. Come on, hippo. You're supposed to play along now. You're supposed to lift your nose up and go, and should lift its nose up shortly. As I said, they can hold, there we go. There we go. You can see it breathing. You can see how its skull is specially adapted to have the nostrils on top, so it's easier for them to breathe. Now, for an animal that lives in the water, Jessica, hippos can't swim, but they run along the bottom to shallow areas where they can stand. So they'll run along the deep sections of the water till they can get to a place where they can lift up their nose and breathe. Which means, or sometimes they will bounce up and down if they have to cross a long period of deep water. But I think we're going to let the hippos continue to snooze. And I'm going to go see if I can find a leopard in the thickets behind me. But in the meantime, let's go have a look at those incredible elephants with Taylor.
We're just repositioning just a little bit because I thought I saw an elephant quite close to the road. Here they are. Hi, elephants. Naughty boys hanging around here. The naughty boys are my favorite. Let's see if I do. Yes, I think he'll come this way. So it's a very, very big family of elephants here, and there'll be boys and girls. Only the young boys will stay in this herd, though. Let's see, is this a little boy? This looks like a little boy, and in maybe about 10 years' time, he's going to get chased away, and he's going to have to go and live all by himself. Now, this is a young boy, like I said. He might come and say hello to us. I hope he does pop on over. I like the elephants. They're my favorite animal. Now, he hasn't got very big tusks at all. You can see they're quite small and quite dirty. He's obviously been digging in the mud. And they can get quite large. Obviously, his are going to get much, much, much bigger. And sometimes they can weigh many, many kilograms. So they can weigh up to about, I suppose it depends on the elephant, but I would say an average weight for a big elephant bull's tusks is around anywhere between 15 and 30 kilograms. So what's that about? Maybe between 35 to 70 pounds or so, each tusk. But then, of course, like everything, you get some elephants that get really, really big, and their tusks can get even heavier than that. And Kyson, you were wondering exactly that. is how big can those tusks get. So it just depends. He's coming over. Hello, boy. Come and say hello. Now, these are wild elephants, so they are not tame. Not that you can tame animals, these wild animals. It's impossible. They always have that natural instinct. But we're very lucky because they're so used to the cars and they're so used to the sound of my voice, they get so curious. They want to come on over and be like, hello, Taylor. Hello, Craig. How's your day been? And then sometimes they try and scare us, especially the little ones, because they think that they're big and brave and strong. We sometimes let them think that, but they're not really. They've still got a lot of growing to do. They're still very small. Because a big elephant bull can weigh over 5 tons. So well over 10,000 pounds. Imagine seeing an animal that big, and I'm lucky I get to see them all the time. And then there's another one over here. Look at him. He's also a young boy. He's bigger, though, than this one. He's a little bit older. He must be only about 10 years old now. Maybe a bit older, maybe about 12 years old. Now, are you ready to learn how to tell the differences between boys and girls? Well, the elephants. I think you know how to tell the differences between boys and girls with people. And if you look very closely at an elephant's head, see, Craig knows exactly what I'm talking about. And hopefully this boy will turn slightly to the right. And that when he turns, you'll see his head is actually quite round, whereas the girl's head's very square. Come on, turn around for us, please. Here we go. Almost. He's not participating very well today. But they've got a very, very round skull. And then you can also look for the bits and pieces that make boys boys and girls girls, because you can see it. Right. We've got lots of young boys coming around us. I'm very excited because they might come up to the car, which would be very cool. But while they slowly make their way towards us, I'm going to send you to Brent. And he's moved on from those hippos and he's found a really tall animal.
Well, he's a walking tall animal. Here we go, a nice, well, very big male giraffe. Now, I know it's a male because of how tall he is, and also because he's bald like a man. So, he stopped behind the bush. Let me go back a bit. So, the top of a male giraffe's horns are bald, whereas the tops of a female giraffe's horns are not. There we go, and he's eating on a leadwood tree. Oh no, sorry, I lie. He's eating on a waiterbit thorn, also called a buffalo thorn. Now, there are really sharp thorns on there. Now, if you can think of the bottom of your shoe, how hard it is, that's how tough the inside of a giraffe's mouth is. So they can eat on very, very tough thorns. Now, giraffes and elephants can eat trees for a long time, and they could probably eat a lot off a tree. So a tree has to protect itself from giraffes and elephants and other animals that eat it. So thorns are one way of protecting themselves. Now, trees have a very smart way of protecting themselves as well. So certain trees can talk to each other, but they talk to each other by using chemicals. So if a giraffe has been eating one species of tree for a long time, the tree will release a chemical that makes the tree taste bad. It makes it taste very bitter. And if the tree does that, all the other trees that are related to that tree of the same type, close to it, will also start becoming bitter, and that forces a giraffe, an elephant, and things that are going to eat the trees to move on to a different area. Now, this is a very big male giraffe. He's probably 5 meters plus in height, and his neck is probably about 2.5 meters long. So the males' necks are longer than the females. And they use their necks for fighting. So there's horns, that's why they're bald. The male giraffe will swing his head like a big hammer and hit other giraffe when he wants to chase them away. Bless you, Seb. Now you can see the spots on the giraffe Carter. They have spots to break up their outline. It is a form of camouflage. So lions will hunt giraffe like they will hunt buffalo. So it is just to help them hide a little bit. It is probably a remnant from their evolutionary process, because they've now become so big that it's difficult to hide. But the ancestors of the giraffe would have had to hide from lions, because some of them were as small as a dog. Can you believe it? Ooh, Gwen, I think you must be an artist because you've got very good eyes. Yes, Gwen, all the giraffes, each individual giraffe has its own unique spots. There's not one giraffe that looks exactly the same as another. Now, this is a completely wild area, so sometimes animals do die from natural causes. So we're going to go across to Tristan, who's with a very sad event that happened yesterday.
Indeed, we are at a very sad event, and that my name is Tristan. So it is a very warm welcome to all of our schools that have joined us this afternoon, and also to all of our other viewers. From myself, Tristan, and on camera, we have Wiem the wildebeest. There we go. Now, like we were saying, it is a very sad scene. What happened, unfortunately, is that a very, very big elephant was killed by another elephant. And so we're sitting with the dead elephant at the moment, so it is a little bit of a gory scene. It's not very pleasant to look at, but it is part of nature. And fortunately, what happens is some of these animals will get into fights, particularly the boy elephants. They go after one another and they try and chase each other, especially if they're trying to find a mommy elephant, and then they unfortunately sometimes stab into the body and they can cause another one to die. So this elephant died yesterday morning. And you can see there's still a lot of food on this elephant for a lot of different animals. And so you'll find things like vultures and lions, leopards, hyenas, anything will come and try and feed off it. It's still early in the afternoon and it's quite hot, and so that's probably why we're not seeing too many vultures or leopards or lions here right now. I'm pretty sure all of those animals will be lying somewhere in the shade, and they'll then come when it gets a little bit cooler later in the day. But you can see there the tusks of that male and his trunk that unfortunately when he fell got kind of caught underneath his body. But look at all the flies that are here. Now this is going to be interesting because there's going to be a lot of insects that are actually going to come onto this carcass. Because of how big it is and how much meat it is, it's very difficult for the hyenas and the lions to eat all of this, and so insects are going to actually have to eat quite a bit themselves. And what that basically means is flies in particular will come and they're going to lay their eggs on this dead elephant, and the eggs will then hatch, and that's what we call maggots. And so maggots are little larvae of flies, and they're going to feed off all of this meat, and they're going to consume a lot of it and eat a lot of the meat, which will help the things like the vultures and the lions and leopards get rid of this carcass before it gets too much or too rotten and causes disease or anything like that to break out. Now, I was saying earlier that this animal was killed by another bull elephant, and there is actually a place where you can see where the tusk of the other elephant went into the body of this elephant. So you can see down there, there's a big hole close to its legs, and so that's been made by a tusk. Now, when I say that's a big hole, if I took my two hands and made a fist, I would be able to then put probably two of these fists like this into that hole, and that just gives you an idea of how thick the tusk was of the other elephant. Now we're going to try and look around and see if we can maybe find a hyena or something that might be lurking around this carcass. It's also very, very stinky where I am right now, and so while I try to see what else is lying about here, let's send you back across to Taylor, and I think she's still with those beautiful elephants.
We have them, but they're slowly starting to disappear. And now this is the tricky part, because all the elephants are going to go and drink water, but there are still some guests on. Well, they're going to go on safari soon, but they're in camp at the moment, and I can't go and disturb them. The camp is kind of just in that direction over there, and the watering hole is down below. So now I don't know what to do. See, we're not allowed to go in front of the camp when there are guests in camp. Nikki, what about if we switch to dam camp? Can we do that if they go in and drink? I don't know how you feel about that. Okay, never mind. Well, that's a pity. That's the end of our elephant sighting for now, I'm afraid, as they all go and play in the water. Hopefully the zoomie is on it, though. Okay, off we go. Sorry about that. That's just one of the rules. People pay lots of money to go on safari to have the privacy of that watering hole. We can't go and disturb them. Now, Cosette, you're wondering if elephants use their ears to cool themselves down. They do indeed. They flap them to keep themselves nice and cool because they've got lots of little blood vessels in their ears. And the skin is very, very thin. So if they flap them, all that air moves around quite nicely. And then it cools the bloodstream down straight away. But the best way to cool yourself down is, as you know, is jumping in the swimming pool and covering yourself in mud. So that's their favorite thing to do, the elephants. So they're going to have a very, very, very fun time now. And I'm so sorry that I can't show you. Now, we don't name the big elephants because they come and go and they move around all the time. They don't just stay in one spot. And that's exactly what Jordan was asking, was if we name them. No, Jordan, we don't name elephants, except that one elephant cow, the one female. She's got a big tusk. We saw it points back down. So she's been given the nickname Fang. And the only reason we know that it's her is because, well, she's very special, and there's not many elephants that tusks grow like that. And then there's one other elephant. His name is Daryl. He's got a very special shape in his ear. It's like a bell has been cut out in his ear, but it's happened naturally. And his name is Daryl. But other than that, it's very difficult to tell the differences between the elephants. And sometimes you can see them once, and then you might not see them for 3 or 4 months before you see them again. So off you go back across to Brent, who's still searching for the leopards.
From Chitwa Dam. Hi guys, I'm just on the Game Drive radio. Just letting the other guys know. And also male Lamiti heading across Alfred's open area. So we talked to the other rangers to let them know where the animals are. So I was telling them about the buffalo. So that is a steenbok, and that's not a baby. That's a big one. That's a big male steenbok. And they live in monogamous pairs. So they only have one partner for life. They live in a very small area of about 4 acres. And once they've settled in their territory, they never leave that area. Now, because they live in a small area, sometimes that can be problematic for them because the leopards are always after them. So to hide where they are, when they go to the toilet, they will bury their dung, so the leopard doesn't know where they are. Now, their name, Steen, is from a language called Afrikaans. Bok means antelope or buck, and Steen means brick. Now, they don't look like a brick, but their defense against predators is to keep very, very still and not move. So as still as stone, as still as a brick, and that's how they got their name. So if you see a little male like this, and the males have horns, the females don't, I'm sure there's a little female around somewhere close by. But it's quite hot this afternoon, so he's just relaxing in the shade. Now, steenbok are one of a leopard's favorite foods. So if you're looking for leopards, it's always good to know where potential dinner might be. Tucker is wondering how big are their eyes. Tucker, they are about 3 or 4 centimeters across. Now, you can see their eyes are mounted on the side of their heads. Now, a lot of animals that get eaten by other animals have eyes on the side of their heads, and that's so they can see all around them. And animals that eat animals, like us, like lions, like leopards, like hyenas, our eyes are in the front, so we can see and focus on our hunting, whereas animals that get hunted have eyes on the side of their heads. And you can see lovely long eyelashes. Oh, and it's off. To protect his eyes from sticks and stones. Emma is... Now, I was telling you the story, Emma, about how still a steenbok can stand. I can tell you I was following a pack of African wild dogs, which also like to eat steenbok, and they ran all around the steenbok, and it did not move for 20 minutes. It kept still. The wild dogs were less than a meter from it, and it still did not move. So I don't know how long in total, but the longest I've seen it stay still, not even move an ear or batter an eyelash, was about 20 minutes. Now, we've been talking about grazers and browsers. We've seen the buffalo and the hippo, which are grazers, Patrick. So the steenbok is a grazer. Like the buffalo and hippo, it eats grass. And remember, the giraffe is a browser, which means it eats leaves. Let's see if we can find another browser to add to our giraffe and our 3 grazers so far. Now, you get certain animals, like impala, and I'm hoping between Taylor, Tristan, and myself, to find you an impala soon. Now, an impala is a bit different. It's what we call a mixed feeder. So it will eat grass and leaves, not one or the other. I think there's going to be a leopard down this road. Let's go down here. Now, I'm sure Taylor's also on a mission to find you something fascinating, so let's go see where she's heading to next.
I'm actually waiting patiently for those elephants to finish drinking water, and then going to go around and try and catch them again, because that's where I want to spend my entire afternoon, is with a herd of elephants. Like I said to you, the elephants are my favorite animal in the whole wide world. I love them. They are so cool. And one day, if you are lucky enough to come on a safari, you have to ask your mum and dad if you can go on a safari. I promise you'll have the best time ever. It's so awesome. There's so many things to look at, so many different smells, and then having a herd of elephants come around is very cool. So, and that's what I think we're going to do. And I told you that this is a very special herd of elephants. Whoops, hold on, Craig. Bumpy here, like a rodeo, but in a car. And there's lots of little babies that'll be very curious. Now let's see if we can find a scratching post for an elephant or for any of the animals, because they do get quite itchy. I'm sure you know this. Hey, Josh. You imagine they've got lots and lots of parasites, lots of ticks and fleas and mites and all sorts of things living on them, feeding on the blood. So they do get quite itchy, and all like you and I, sometimes, you can't reach. You just can't reach properly. And you have to ask your mom or your dad or your brother and your sister or your friend to help scratch your back for you. And if there's no one around to do that, Well, and that's what happens out here. The animals have to use trees to scratch themselves. We'll see if we can find a scratching post. The best place to find a scratching post is actually near a watering hole, because they cover themselves in mud quite nicely. And then afterwards, because all that mud will suffocate all the insects, they can't breathe anymore, and then they die, and then they scratch them off as well. So they do that. So if we can get to another watering hole, we might be able to find one. Let's see what else we can find. Very quiet out here today, not lots of animals just yet, but they might be hiding. Now I wish we had the elephants around so that I could, oh, there's one or two, there's another herd of elephants, but they're in the bushes, we're not going to be able to see them. That's a pity. See, I don't like to off-road for elephants. You're also not allowed to off-road on this property for elephants. It can be very, very dangerous. If you go driving off the road and an elephant decides that it is very unhappy with you and it doesn't want to be your friend anymore, you need to be able to get away quickly, because remember, elephants are the only ones that can actually tip the car and aggression out on you. Then you need to make sure that you're able to get away as quick as possible. So I never off-road for elephants. I think it's very silly, but everybody has their own opinion, of course. Look at this, look what they've done. That is an elephant that has done that. Look how they've made a little roadblock for me. They've pushed over a tree. Now they've broken that tree, probably using their trunks. So that's a waypiper that elephants use their trunks, as they use them to break branches. And that's a small silver cluster leaf tree. And the elephant would be able to snap that like a toothpick. And then they were eating it. And there probably would have been more than one elephant that was feeding on it. But I'm not going to get out the car to move it now, because there are some elephants just off the road. Just the bush is very thick at the moment, so we can't really see them too well. So we'll come back and fix that a little bit later. That's what we have to do. We have to clean up after the animals all the time. Where are you, Ellies? Now, the Ellies are all moving around and feeding in this thicket, but hopefully if we're patient enough, they'll come out and show themselves. But off you go to Tristan to see what else is happening.
Well, unfortunately, not much else is happening. We can't see any vultures. We can't find any signs of any predators being around. No hyenas, no lions, no leopards, which is very, very strange. Normally, a feast like this would provide food for so many that you would find lots and lots of vultures here. You normally find some hyenas, even if they've eaten, with big round tummies lying around here. And unfortunately, at the moment, it seems as though everybody has gone. Now, the wind has just changed direction, and the smell that's coming from this elephant is less than friendly, that's for sure. So, Grayson, I like your name because my brother's name is Grayson, and the elephant, in terms of its age, is difficult to say exactly how old it was, but if we look at the size of the body and the size of the tusks, we'd probably say that this is an elephant of about 30 years old, somewhere around there. So it's about just over halfway through its life. It is getting as an adult, but it's still not a very big elephant. We do get much bigger elephants than this that are out here, as we can see, because a bigger elephant was strong enough to be able to kill this guy. So you can imagine how much bigger the other one was to be able to kill it. Now, you might be wondering what all that white stuff is all over that elephant. Now, that white stuff has been left behind by the vultures. So as the vultures come, they often will sit on top of the elephant because of how big it is, and they fight and squabble to try and find food and an opening in the skin, because the skin is so thick and is so difficult to get into. And so that's why they sit on top, and then basically that's them going to the toilet on the elephant. They have a very different type of poo than what we do. They urinate and defecate, if you want to call it that. So they wee and pee and poo in the same way. And so that white stuff is a lot of basically wee that's coming out with the poo that they have, and it is white in color because of the amounts of sort of meat and things that they have inside them. So it's an interesting kind of thing. You always find when vultures are around lots of this stuff all over the place. So Anthony, you were asking about that, and so hopefully that's answered your question. Now, the also interesting thing is that there are some more elephants not too far away. We can hear them rumbling and trumpeting, and I wonder if maybe the smell of this dead elephant, some more elephants are going to come and see what's going on here and come and investigate. Often elephants are very curious animals, and they like to know what's going on in the environment, and if they pick up the smell, they might come here and just try and see what's going on, and that's maybe why we're hearing them already starting to make their way this way. It sounds like it's getting closer and closer, so hopefully we'll have some elephants arriving at this carcass as well. Now, talking about elephants, Taylor is still with one of my favorite herds that we see here, and I'm sure she's absolutely loving showing you the magnificent Fang.
Look at all of the elephants. They love to use this pathway. They use it all the time once they've finished drinking at the dam. Now you can see there's a little fence at the background. That's to stop the elephants from going into the lodge, because they can be quite naughty in the lodge. They'll eat all the trees and all the plants and all the other wonderful things. Here comes Fang. Here comes the famous elephant. Look at that tusk. Sure, she's a big girl. So she's the matriarch. She is the leader of this herd. So she's basically making all the decisions. Although there are some other elephants, some older girls that will help her decide what's going on. And speaking of making decisions, Sapphire, you've asked, how do the elephants communicate with one another? So they use body language, they make trumpeting noises, they rumble like this. They also make really, really low sounds called infrasounds that you and I cannot even hear. And that's how they do their communicating, which is pretty cool. And those infrasounds can travel over 20 kilometers in distance, so very, very, very far away. And they're able to pick those vibrations up in their feet. And very cool. Man, I wish we got to see them swimming and splashing in the mud. It would have been so fun to watch. Look at this one. He's painted himself nicely. So Piper, there we go. Another use for an elephant with its trunk. They will suck up muddy water and then spray it all over their bodies. So they use their trunks for lots and lots of different things. But now they're going to disappear into the bushes. There's the last one is on its way. There might still be a few young bulls that are coming at the back, but I can't see them and I can't really hear them coming this way either. And now they're going to carry on feeding. Right. Let me quickly reverse out of here. We'll just stop just like this. But I hope that you enjoyed joining us, all the schools that did, and thank you for all your questions. They were very good today. Well done. But we have to say goodbye to all of you now. But I'm sure you'll be back on safari with us again soon. Remember to do your homework and to listen to your mom and dad and eat your vegetables, and don't give your teachers too much of a hard time. But for the regular viewers, well, we'll be starting up again. I'm going to send you to Brain to see if he's found that spotted cat.
I never did my homework, but school drive's over, so shh. I used to find any way possible to get out of homework. So I've just seen a very interesting thing on the road, and I just want to have a quick investigation of it. It looks to be a drag mark. This is quite interesting. It is not a drag mark. It is a drag mark, but it is not a drag mark of what I was... This is very strange. I'm trying to figure out what it is. You can see it here. Little scuffs on the... So... Oh, sorry. Mic's in the wrong pocket. So I'm not sure what's going on here. Now, that is a leopard cub track there. I think this is on top of the tracks from this morning. So I'm wondering if Kachava didn't come back and she's made a kill. That's what it looks like. I dragged it off. So let me just try to figure this out. There's one very distinct leopard track here, but it looks like the little one just here. But that is not looking as fresh. Now, the drag mark, figuring out which way it went. Actually, you guys are going to tell me which way the drag mark went. Which way do you think the drag mark went? There's a clue somewhere in the area I am. Did it go that way? Or that way? Did it go left or right? Hashtag Safari Live. Which way did this drag mark go? Now, I just wonder, these roads here in the east of Chitwa aren't driven too often. So I'm wondering if this is not something that they've finished, because there's other tracks on top of it, such as Fang, and goes in here and in there. Let's have a quick look. You never know, something might be right here. Carries on that way. Thanks, Seb. So, okay, I'm just going to figure this out. This looks quite... I'm not sure how fresh it is. So, I wonder if Kachava actually managed to hide up here, finish a kill, and then head into Torchwood before anyone spotted this drag mark. So, I'm just going to have a quick little walk and see if there's anything there. While we do that, I'm not sure who we're linking to, but I'm sure whoever it is will have lots of stories for you.
It's me, Brent, so of course I've got lots of stories. Very cool that you found a drag mark. Nice. So we've got our herd of elephants, Fang's herd, moving on in and having a drink. So those of you who are lucky enough to switch on over to the dam cam would have seen that they splashed around in the mud. But that's not particularly clean water. And elephants are fussy drinkers. So they've popped past Gallagher Pan, which is looking a little bit on the empty side, just for a couple of slurps of water, and now moving on swiftly to carry on feeding for most of the day. Wonder where they're going to have a dust bath next. That's all we're missing to complete, I suppose, the cycle of an elephant having a drink. That's always quite cool. There she goes. Quite a few of them. See, they're all walking through here. We'll try and catch up with them in a minute. Now, I'm not exactly sure how old Fang is. There she is, in fact. I've seen her a couple of times. She's definitely a mature cow. I would put her in her early 40s, but I haven't spent much time with her for a very, very long time. I was fortunate enough to see her down in the southwestern corner of the Sabi sand. But I didn't realize what a special elephant she was to everybody prior to working at Wild Earth. We just would see her every now and then. So Avon wishes, I apologize, I don't really know. Remember, it is quite difficult to guess how old these animals are. Sadly, they're not leaving any birth certificates behind for us, so they make it a little bit tricky. But she's a mature girl, so I'd put her in her 40s, somewhere around there. Like I said, she's definitely the matriarch of the herd. No, little Aislinn, who's only 5 years old, you're wondering how much does a little elephant weigh when they're born? Well, they're quite heavy. They're much heavier than you and I. I mean, you and I probably weigh anywhere between 2 and 3.5 kilograms, maybe a little bit more than that. And a baby elephant can weigh up to 100 kilograms, if not a little bit more when it's born. That's huge, hey? Massive, don't you think? So that poor mama's got to carry around that big belly for a very long time. And Aislinn, do you know how many months an elephant has to bake in the oven before it's born? Can you guess? See if you let me know, even a little squirrel. Now, sorry, Nikki, who did you say I'm listening to? I'm so sorry, I was too busy enjoying Aislinn's question. There we go. Now, we're going to enjoy a sighting with Tristan with one of my favorite animals in the whole wide world.
Well, I know Taylor absolutely loves these guys, and I'm pretty sure Taylor's missing the little jackal pups that she spent so much time with in the Mara. But at least we found ourselves a black-backed jackal, and this is actually the first black-backed jackal I have seen on Djuma itself since I've been with Safari Live, which is pretty incredible. You would think that we'd see a lot more of them, but we don't see many at all. We see a lot of the side stripes, but very few of the black-backed jackals. And we actually were alerted to its presence by the francolin. You can hear a francolin just to my left-hand side, making lots of noise, and that was what alerted us to this jackal's presence. And it's quite far from the elephant carcass. It's not very close at all, actually. It's moved quite a long way, and I believe Brent saw one this morning, so it must be the same individual that's maybe just hanging around waiting for its turn to feed on the carcass. The thing is, though, is that the carcass is unoccupied at the moment, so if it wanted to feed on elephant, now's the time to do it and to get as much in as possible. The other problem with these guys is they generally are a little bit shy, so I don't think we're going to get a better view than what we've got now. As soon as the Franklin started to alarm, this jackal got up and trotted off away from where we are, so we're going to get a bit of an obscured view for now. But how cool is that? Like I say, I haven't seen black-backed jackal in ages. It's been a long time since I've seen a black-backed jackal on Djuma, and it's very, very cool to see them. They're such intelligent, inquisitive creatures, and the side stripes are amazing as well. I remember last year we spent a bit of time with the side striped jackals on Arathusa airstrip, and they were amazing to watch. And so it's always a good day when you can find a little jackal, and you know, we've been discussing it recently that their numbers are so low due to rabies outbreaks that it's always encouraging when you get to see one of these guys, and it makes you wonder how many are actually around that we just don't even know about. I have no idea where this guy could have come from, because there's not like there's many black-backed jackals around us. Maybe off Hoffman's. Hoffman's has got some good open areas for jackals that we used to see a lot, and so that's maybe where it comes from. But very cool to see, and you can see how the jackal is watching these Franklins, almost as if to say, keep quiet, you are ruining my cover and my disguise. And the ears of that jackal are moving around all over the place, listening to these Franklins and just hoping probably that it doesn't attract the attention of some unwanted eyes. Now, earlier in the day, apparently, Hosanna was somewhere close to this elephant carcass, so that's why we're in the middle of the thickets trying to find him, and well, a nice surprise nonetheless. Not spots, but very, very cool surprise anyway, and I'll take a black-backed jackal in any day of the week. Like I say, I enjoy them, I know Taylor does as well, so very, very cool. I'm going to just try and see if I can get a better view for you and hope that he doesn't run, or she. Debbie, I have no idea, to be honest. I have no idea why all the vultures are gone, why there's not a single hyena lying anywhere with a full tummy, why Hosanna is not there if he was seen very close to it, why this jackal is lying so far away. It's a bit of a mystery, to be honest. Maybe the vultures have just had an absolute feast over the last 24 hours that they're just trying to now digest a little bit, get their crops kind of emptied, and then they'll come down and feed again. It could also be that maybe somebody was there before I got there that drove a little close to the carcass, and all the vultures took off and flew somewhere else to go and land. I did see a whole bunch of vultures landed north of Twin Dams, and so that might be the reason. Also, it could be a situation where the vultures are struggling to get into the carcass itself because they can only get into a certain sort of portion of it. They can't get into the legs or the head area yet, and so that's maybe why they're struggling. They're waiting for the hyenas to open it up a little bit before they really start going into a feeding frenzy. The thing is, though, there's a lot of dung and droppings for vultures all over that place, so there was a lot of vultures around. I know Taxon told me this morning at one point he counted 219 vultures at that carcass, and with the hyenas and the jackals, and so slowly but surely they are going to try and eat it and try and consume as much as possible. But look at our jackal is getting all sleepy. Isn't that cute? Very, very cool. Now, while we sit and enjoy our jackal and see if we can find the ever-present Hosanna at carcasses and those kind of things, let's send you back across to Brent, who was tracking a drag mark, and I wonder how far he's gotten with it.
Well, we tracked the drag mark, and I think it was from this morning, from earlier. Was stolen by a hyena. So I think then Taylor found the tracks after that of those leopards leaving, so I don't think they came back. I am going to do a triple check, though, on the northern boundary of Chitwa, just to make sure that she hasn't maybe snuck back in. And here we go. Which way was that carcass being dragged? So George, unfortunately, George, you were incorrect. It wasn't to the left. Aaron and Andrea, correct. It was to the right. There was a little stick that had moved out of its groove to the right. That was the clue near where I drew those arrows. old lion tracks on the corner there. So I'm just going to do a quick check to the edge of Chitwa here. Make sure, and it looks like they've dragged the road today. So if there are any tracks, they're going to be from after lunchtime today. And so while I do a triple check of the northern boundary of Chitwa. Oh, don't run away, don't run away, don't run away. You always run away. No, you're running away. Let's see if it doesn't run too far. Often they'll run and then stop for a look. He's hiding behind the round leaf teak. Is he popping out? No, there was a little grey duiker, but he ran away. Okay, let's go see what Madam T is up to next.
Brenty, I'm trying to relocate on those elephants. They walked off after having a drink at Gallagher Pan, as we thought they would. The rest of the herd continued. Now they've cut across here. I'm hoping they're going to jump out on the shortcut of Gallagher, and maybe we'll see them again. But they might also be heading into this drainage line for a reason, to do some feeding on all the nice, lovely, lush vegetation. So we'll see. But I am waiting for an answer from Aislinn about how long elephants are in their mom's belly for. Yo, Aislinn, now you've guessed that a baby elephant is in its mommy's tummy for 40 years. Shame, that poor mommy. Hey, can you imagine? Close, almost. You almost got it, I promise. It's just a little bit less than that. It's only 22 months, but good guess though. So not that long. So almost 2 years is no, just less than 2 years. Yeah, almost 2 years is probably the right answer. Hey, that she has to carry that one around. That's crazy though. It's a very long gestation period, as you can imagine. But 40 years, I don't think any mom would want to have a baby in her tummy for that long. Goodness. Whew, how stressful. That would mean that I would have perhaps had to have a baby in my belly many years ago already. Oh no. I've been told to stop. Ah, so hilarious. Now, I haven't actually counted how many members are in Fang's herd, and Sean, you just asked exactly that. It's a bit difficult. It actually didn't look like a lot of members today. There were a few. I don't know, did anybody get a screenshot perhaps of them down at Vuyatela Dam? Or no, don't do Gallagher Pad. Don't do those screenshots when we had them drinking, because the reason why I say this is that the whole herd actually split. Some of them went off and down into the Tamboti thicket and along the drainage line. Maybe only half the herd actually came to have a drink at Gallagher Pad. So I think majority of them would have gone down to Vuyatela Dam. So you can perhaps have a little count if anybody took a screenshot or wants to rewind on YouTube and then try it that way. I think there must be about 30 or 40 members in her herd, but I'm also just taking a good guess. I just remember one day sitting on open plains. I can't remember what the plains were called down in Sabi. I've completely Majaji Pan. There we go. It's like this pan. There's this big windmill, and she was coming towards us, and the grass was really short because obviously in 2015 there was a severe drought in this area. So there wasn't much vegetation, just a couple of guarri bushes growing in between a few silver cluster leaves here and there, so it was fairly open. And it was just a wall of elephants coming towards us. It was quite cool, in fact. But it didn't count them. Again, like I said, I unfortunately didn't realize how special her herd was. And, I didn't think that I'd be seeing them on a regular basis. I mean, little did I know back then that I'd be working for Wild Earth and learning of characters, of animals, and seeing them on a regular basis and learning their story. Obviously, we know this with leopards and lions, but they're territorial, so you see them in one spot. And so, yeah, so I didn't appreciate it back and try and find my much scrolling. Oh, whoops, our aerial just fell down. Whoopsie, we're just trying to navigate some bumps here. I think the gremlins are getting us, so before they take us down the hole, off we go to Tristan.
Well, these pesky gremlins have been out of control the last few days. I think it's time we sort them out and kick them out of here and tell them they are not welcome anymore, because they have been at their sort of best in terms of their performance, but at the worst, a whole bunch of vultures making a noise, but they're making a noise in really the wrong place, because it sounds like a noise in so maybe Hosanna's lying somewhere down there. It's going to be very difficult for us to go there. I don't think we're going to get reception if we go in there. I was just talking about gremlins, and well, I'm pretty sure that that's where he might have gone, because I can't find him anywhere around here. I can't find any tracks for him, so I don't know if maybe he's just found himself a really nice shady spot in order to sleep. I just want to turn off and listen a little bit, because if he's walking around and he does disturb things like Franklin's, you're going to get a situation where you're going to hear a lot of alarm calls. You're going to hear the Franklins constantly chirping. And they've actually gone quite quiet now, so I don't hear too much. There is a few vultures hanging around, and interestingly enough, since we left the carcass, there are lots and lots of vultures starting to come down now. It's almost like the second feed for the day is starting to happen. Maybe they've decided they've digested a little bit and they're going to come in and start feeding. So maybe we'll just go back and be patient at the carcass itself. The arrival of vultures might cause Hosanna to maybe pop his head up somewhere or come and investigate, and maybe we'll get lucky with him kind of coming out. Good. Now, while we go and try and investigate what's going on and try and see if we can get some vulture action, let's send you back across to Brent, who's getting in touch with his flower side, apparently.
Well, this is definitely, it's my type of flower, this flower. It's one we've had a look at many times. It is the large devil thorn. So most of you know you can, if you add water to the leaves, you can use it as soap. You can use it as lubricant. They use it for lubricant childbirth. But what I really like about the large devil thorn is the thorn itself. So I'm going to pop one on the dash here so Sebastian can get it easily. So look at that. Now it's specially designed to be able to fit in between an impala or a waterbuck's hooves. So if you imagine, I'm just trying to think how I can best show this. So it comes down and it fits right between like that. And it actually, if you see impala or kudu or waterbuck limping, often it's because they might have one of these stuck like this, like that, in between their hooves. Now, I like them for a different reason. I think we should play some tricks on people back at camp. Seb, what do you think? I think we need more than one. Now, these are really good to leave on seats. It's the African bush equivalent of the drawing pin trick. So let's take another one. And I think maybe put a few on the FC chairs. Or maybe. What do you think, Seb? I think these are perfect for the FC chairs. Well, I didn't hear what FC's comment was there. What was FC saying? FC, you'll never know. Yes, I do know. I do know I'm broadcasting to FC, but FC, it could be tomorrow. It could be the next day. It might be next week. When will I make my move on final control? Ta-ta-ta-ta. So, unfortunately, as I said, this road has been dragged today. There is still no sign of Kuchava crossing back. So let's go back to Madam McCurdy and the pachyderms.
And there they go. You won't believe that cheeky elephant. As we came up and from the drainage line, he was, I don't know, maybe a good 50, 60 meters away from us, and then he came running at us. It was quite funny, in fact. And now he's scared because he's a big baby. So we're going to go and say hello to the big baby. They always do. They're running away now. They know. Oh. In South Africa, as a kid, when you were in trouble, because, we love talking about the weird things we do in South Africa. You see, you can hear him. We used to go like this. We'd go, like a parley. Do you remember that, Craig? Doing that? Or not? Craig, you're not talking to me anymore. You didn't do it. What did you say? Craig doesn't know what he said. I don't know. I may have been saying it wrong. Nikki, what did you say? You know the saying that I'm talking about, hey? And that's what I feel like those elephants felt like now. Like, ooh. No? Come on. Someone in Final Control that's South African must know. Rebecca knows what I'm talking about because she actually did it to me the other day, and then I was in hysterics because my brother would do it to me all the time. Oh, here we go. Oh, I'm terrified. Look at him. Yeah? And then? Big stories. You're just doing this for your friends. This is a young girl. Looks like a young car. Yeah, that explains everything. She's kind of coming into the age where she is so big and scary, and all the hormone changes. Now she's going back again. Bye-bye. Tell all her friends how she chased me away. She might come back again. A group of naughty teenagers. That's exactly what we've got here. I don't even know where the rest of the herd is. Let me go around. Let me see if we can get a better gap of them. That was quite funny, though. It is my favorite when elephants do that. Well, she'll come again. Look at her. Did you know that you just broke that tree, young lady? That is very unnecessary. You didn't need to break the tree. Now, when an elephant that weighs 4 tons does that years old, and she's being a drama queen again, just like we don't tolerate the big bulls when they're naughty, we're not going to tolerate her behavior either. We're not doing anything wrong. They're so far away from the herd, though. I think they... I just see them running around, dust kicking up, legs going everywhere. And they've obviously been naughty and separated from the herd. It's like being in the shopping centre, and they've gone, cool, Mom, and we're going to go to the skate park. That's what we're going to go and do. We're going to leave you. And Mom hasn't actually given them permission to do so. Now they're going to run home very quickly. And we'll see. Goodness, they've kicked up enough dust. They are bolting. Oh, and they've stopped. Oh, here's Mom. Yeah. Please tell Mom, I want to know what she has to say about you two, not you two, you three misbehaving. It'll be one of them cowering underneath her. Oh, they're being so nasty to us. Mom's like, I'm done with your nonsense. I'm not interested. Maybe that's not even Mom. It could be another one of the other elephants' mothers. Well, there's 4 youngsters now. God, they're all pretending like they've done absolutely nothing wrong. Absolutely nothing. And I bet if they come charging towards us, they're probably going to get in a little bit of trouble too. They often get reprimanded by their adults for being pests around the cars. They're all having a good smell of one another. She's quite tall. Oh, welcome back, Bitcoin Ninja. You were just a first-time viewer just the other morning. We see you are hooked now. Ha ha ha. Sorry. Glad you're back, though. Now, we don't have Fang here at the moment, but this is still a part of her herd. She's somewhere around here. And obviously, earlier we were talking about elephants stripping bark off of trees, and even on the sunrise safari we were talking about that. And Fang has got that one tusk, her right tusk, that curves back underneath her belly. So the question there was with regards to, does she have trouble stripping bark off of the trees? I suppose with that tusk, yes, but with the other one, it's perfectly able to sort of gore into the trunk of the tree. So no, I don't think so at all. Remember, elephants tend to be left or right tusked too, so they'll favor one more than the other. Maybe, unfortunately, she started off as preferring her right tusk, but now she's unable to use it, so she would have had to have changed, or perhaps she did just favor her left tusk. So that's all right. Obviously, the elephants that don't have any tusks will have a problem with stripping bark off of trees. But again, it's just one of those things. They'll adapt. They might wait for another elephant to go through there first and do all the hard work, and they can come in afterwards. They don't eat tons and tons of bark off of the trees either. That's just like a little nibble, I suppose. I can't believe them. Look how they're all relaxed, like they've done nothing wrong the entire afternoon. It's like we busted them with spray paint in sort of cans, and they were tagging the wall. And then we caught them, and then they dropped them and ran away from us. And now they're pretending they didn't do anything. Anyways, the herd is disappearing off into the thicket, so we might go and see what else we can find. But it's been a wonderful afternoon with the elephants. Great way to start a safari. Off we go to Brent, who's now, well, maybe he's thinking about life, staring at a tree.
That is on the actually protected species list. Oh, my audio. Okay, let me turn. There we go. I'm a bit far from the car, but this tree is actually on the protected species list. It's quite a cool tree. They're not very, very common. They do occur sort of along the river areas, drainage lines, but they're not a very common tree. It is called a bushveld saffron. Now, I'm just going to grab a stone because I don't have a knife here. And if you take a stone or anything and you rub on the bark, a very, very pleasant smell. Oh, so lovely. It smells a bit like saffron. People don't really cook with the bushveld saffron though, but it has got a whole host of traditional uses, and mostly to do with stomach ailments. It is used as an enema. It is used as a brew. From the roots, concoction is made. So anything to do with stomach ailments, sore tummies, diarrhea. Mostly a brew of the roots is made. There is a tea that is made out of the bark that is said to be very pleasant. I've never made it myself. That is used to increase appetite in people who don't want to eat. And as I said, it's on the protected species list. In a lot of areas outside of the reserves, they have been wiped out because the wood is of quite high value, used to make mostly smaller implements, wooden spoons for stirring stews and making pap or maize meal, which is like polenta, and sort of the household implements. So. But as you can see, there's not a lot of wood on there, and that's quite a big individual. So they have been removed from a lot of areas, and the main reason they've been removed is that they are such a well-utilized medicinal tree, and not only from Zulu, Shangaan, Xhosa, and Ndebele, Sotho, Tswana. I think I've got them all. Venda. All use this tree in their medicinal medicine or traditional medicine, and you can actually go buy saffron quite easily in any of the medicinal markets in South Africa. So it is a protected species. It's not endangered, it's just a protective species. Now, in a lot of areas, these trees are really, as I said, highly sought after. So they're actually under protection from the local communities and the chiefs. And the traditional doctors or healers, which are called nyangas, which is the doctor side rather than the spiritual side of Sangoma, nyangas will look after and harvest from one single tree for a whole lifetime, and that tree might provide generations of nyangas medicine to utilize for their patients. So it's a very cool tree, very important tree. So it's always nice. It's not one we stop and look at too often. So it's nice to have a quick look at the bushveld saffron. All right, there we go. Cheryl, bushveld saffron. Bushveld saffron. Okay. I'm going to see if Mr. Tingana has possibly come back from Little Gowrie and made his way back onto Chitwa, or I might go look for some other trees. While I do that, let's go see what my good friend Tristan is up to.
Well, Brenty, good luck with that. I hope that you find what you're looking for and that you find Tingana and maybe even some interesting trees. Like, there's an egg. Now, VM says he's got an egg. The problem with this is that I've got no clutch, so I'm going to have to go around and try and turn the car off, and then we can get a clutch again, because Jigger's decided not to... Let's see if it'll work. No. The clutch is not... Ah, there we go. Now the clutch is kicked back in. Is it? No, it's not. So now it's not even going to go into gear without me turning off and trying this again. So this is not going to be ideal at all. There we go. We'll go into second, Billy. That's going to be much easier. Now... Oh, come on, Jigger. No, it's not going to work, which is not ideal, because without a clutch, it's going to be very, very difficult to go anywhere. So I'll try and see if I can sort it out. While we do that, though, let's send you back across to Taylor and try and sort out these gremlins.
Jammer, Tristan, jammer, oom. Said, sorry, Tristan, sorry, uncle. He's not winning today. Those days are very frustrating. The gremlins have been particularly bad. And now, Franklin's? Hey? Shouting for what? Give me a heart attack? Especially when a bird comes screaming across the road and squawking. It does give you a little bit of a fright. So we've moved through and past our elephants. Craig and I have decided we're going to go and have a sundowner now at Buffelshoek Dam. So we will see what's happening there. I don't think we'll see the sunset, but it's a nice spot. Maybe we'll get some charging starlings, which we've had before. That was quite a funny day. I would like to see something else that's bizarre and strange today, other than the norm. I really still cannot laughing about the mongoose sighting. I cannot get over it. This hands down the funniest thing I think I've ever seen in the bush that animals have done. Like, that was spectacular. Anyways, if you haven't seen it, it's worth a watch. I'm pretty sure someone will share it with you in case you missed it. Amazing. So a lot of people that I spoke to today, they've never seen it before with dwarf mongoose, and especially that whole scenario of it, well, I suppose, looking for a response. I don't know what it thought that hornbill was going to do. It was good practicing, though. Very, very good. Right, down we go this little ditch, and then we'll start our journey towards Buffelshoek Dam. Well, we're very far away from Buffelshoek Dam. We're just going to go past Vuyatela Dam. Well, the dam is down here. Vuyatela Lodge is here. Off we go. Meow. Wait, I was just about to say this is my favourite section of the road. It's so smooth, and then, well, I hit a log. Here's some kudu. Look at that. Oh, hi, dear. Just jokes. Oh, hi, antelope. A whole family of females. We've been seeing a lot of boys at the moment. It's nice to see the girls, especially when they stand on tops of termite mounds like that. You're a very, very pretty girl, aren't you? A young female. Big ears. Staring at us. Listening behind. Now, very, very good move of the kudu, standing up on top of this termite mound before making an approach towards Vuyatela Dam. I assume that's where they're going, because as we know, a lot of predators will often hang around and wait. Woo! Check out that swarm of oxpeckers that just shot down onto that kudu. You can hear them. Off they go. So she was just using that as a vantage point. Very nice, very nice. We'll carry on for our sundowner spot at Buffelshoek Dam. If we go to Brent, who's found a Wahlberg's eagle.
Here we go, a lovely little dark morph Wahlbergs. We heard some squirrels alarming after we left the bushveld saffron, and lo and behold, there's that little Wahlberg's eagle. Squirrels are not happy to have a predatory bird around. Now, I've got a question for you about Wahlberg's eagles. So, we know they come down here and they breed here. Who can tell me... Let's try to think about how to word this. At least one African country that they migrate to. So they are intra-Africa migrants. So they migrate between Southern Africa and North Africa. Actually, let's go for the biggest African country that they migrate to. #SafariLive. What is the biggest African country that the Wahlberg's eagle migrates to once it leaves us here down in the south? Now, not only are the squirrels alarming at them, I can hear dwarf mongoose alarming at them as well. Wahlbergs definitely fit a predator of a dwarf mongoose, so they'll alarm incessantly. I'm trying to remember now, Senak. I can't remember seeing a Wahlberg's eagle with a squirrel kill, but I'm sure there must have. Oh, Seb, see if you can get these little guys here. Grey-headed sparrows just landed behind us by the looks of things. Yep. Grey-headed sparrows. I think Seb and I are going to do a bit of bird watching this afternoon as it gets a bit cooler. So, Senak, I've seen them with dwarf mongoose. I've seen them with... off they go. I'm pretty sure I must have over the years. I just can't remember offhand. But yes, I'm pretty sure if given the opportunity, the Wahlbergs would definitely grab a squirrel. If the squirrel was far from a tree, crossing between trees and grass. Dwarf mongoose, I've definitely seen them. Now, one of the most fascinating behaviors I've seen from Wahlberg's eagle is from in Botswana. Now, the carmine bee-eaters often nest in the ground in Botswana, not in banks, just on sandy ground. And the Wahlberg's eagles up in northern Botswana have adapted to hunting, carmine bee-eaters. So there we go, actually. I've got a picture. So not in a steep bank. So they've in certain parts, this one's actually from Namibia, and that part of the world, the carmine bee-eaters will nest straight in the top of a sandbank on the ground, not in a steep bank. And the Wahlberg's eagles in those areas have adapted to hunting them. So the carmines, the carmines will go into the holes, and then the as they're coming out, the Wahlberg's eagles will actually grab them before they can take flight properly. So they are quite adaptable when it comes to hunting, and they have a very varied diet. I mean, from birds to squirrels to let me just move off the road. From birds to squirrels, dwarf mongoose. Peter's going that way. Hello, Peter. So they have a very varied diet when it comes to hunting. They also eat a lot of insects, flying ants during the season. So yes, they're a very, very interesting bird. Now, like most predators, all predatory birds, animals, and whatnot are opportunistic. Now, I'm going to be opportunistic. I think now it's a bit cooler. We might get a few more bird species in the Mulwanini River, just behind the dam wall. And who knows, maybe we might even find a cat amongst the pigeons, so to speak, in terms of Tingala. Okay, well, it sounds like before we move on, we've got some guesses about where our Wahlbergs, the biggest country in Africa, the Wahlbergs heads to. Ohio Bacon says Kenya. Nope, not even close. Kenya is actually a relatively small country, much smaller than a lot of places. And we've got one coming in from Rocky. Uganda, also a very small country, believe it or not. And they sort of use Kenya, Uganda, that Central African area, as a stopover. They don't actually spend that much time there while they move through. Ethiopia is one of the countries that they do spend time in once they've crossed, but again, not nearly the biggest. Yes, Paul, Sudan is definitely one of the bigger ones that they do spend time in, but Sudan has been cut up now, so it's not the biggest, if my memory serves me correct. Now, Final Control think they're quite clever, because they think they've got it right, but I'm not going to give them the satisfaction of knowing. Now, they might go up into Egypt, but generally not that high up. They sort of stay in the savanna belt above the forest region. So they might, no, I think Egypt, they might not get that far. But, no, Congo is not right, Sean. They pass over Congo. They don't stay there. Joy, you are so close. You are in the right sort of area. Chad is one of the biggest, but it is not the biggest. It's probably the second or third biggest country in that area. Ooh, Algeria is absolutely massive, but a little bit too far north, a little bit too much desert. It's so close, everyone's mentioning around it. So I'll give you probably, so Chad is one of the biggest. Niger is also one of the biggest, but still not the biggest. Seb goes Mauritania, very close, next door to Mauritania. Liberia, Mikey, that's one of the smallest countries in Africa. Liberia is actually quite tiny. It's got a funny shape, the country I'm talking about as well. So it's got quite a big portion pushing down into the Sahel, and then the northern sections are in the Sahara Desert. Sean, Angola is still way too far south. They might be resident at the same time in southern Angola as they are here. So I'm going to give you a little bit longer to see if you guys can figure it out. In the meantime, let's go see what Tristy's up to.
Well, Brenty, I see you are testing everybody today with all kinds of different things, and so hopefully somebody will get the answer so that Brent doesn't win this one. Now, while we're kind of going along and managed to get the car back up and running, obviously, as you can see, we're driving, but I'm going to have to go back to the workshop just quickly to go and tinker a little bit with our slave cylinder, because I think that's what the problem is. But we'll try and sort it out quite quickly. So in the meantime, we're just kind of meandering along and seeing what we can find. And so far, we've seen a lot of vultures, but other than that, it's been fairly quiet. I haven't seen too much in the way of animals. In fact, not even really any impalas today, which is quite sad. I thought we would have got something at least around that carcass. I would have thought there would have been a hyena there, or maybe even Hosanna still around. I believe, like I say, he was seen in the vicinity, and yet there's still no sign of him anywhere in that area. It's probably just lying under a bush, fat and full after a good meal, and has decided just to have a little nap. And he's so relaxed that he probably doesn't even pop up his head when you come driving along. He just stays sleeping. And so I'm sure he is going to come to that carcass when it gets a little darker. Hopefully, anyway, he will. We'll try and sort this out and head back there as quick as we can, because now's the time when things are going to start arriving. You're going to start to see hyena clans starting to come in. You never know. The smell is drifting and wafting a long distance now. You can smell that elephant. Even as you go down Philemon's Dip now, you can start to smell it already in the air. And so if we can smell it from that distance, you can imagine how far it's carrying and permeating through the air. And I reckon there's going to be a number of different animals that, even if they don't feed on it, are going to come and investigate it. So it's going to be an interesting kind of couple days to see what actually gets that side. Now we're doing a little drive-by of Gari Dam. Nothing that I can see there. There's a Nyala that's coming down towards the dam itself that's kind of just coasting along in an open area, but we're not going to stop for that because otherwise we're going to get ourselves into a bit of a situation where we're not going to be able to start on the uphill. Dale, there can be leeches in these waterholes. I've had leeches in the rivers here. I'm not sure about these waterholes given that it's been so dry and that we haven't had too much water in them. Maybe, actually, I don't know. We'll have to ask. I know Brent and Scott have both been kind of in one of these waterholes, and maybe they'll know, but I have picked up leeches before at other parts of the reserve, so there are leeches in the Sabi sands. I just haven't gotten one myself in the actual sort of any of these pans at this stage, so we'll just go and have a little look around and see. Maybe we can find one for you and check if there is some in any of the dams. Maybe Buffelshoek Dam would be a good bet, or I suppose Treehouse as well, because Treehouse has got that natural spring, and so it's a good area to go and double check. Now I hear Brenty's calling to try and find out if anyone's at the elephant carcass, so I just want to tell him that there's no one there and he can go so long, because while we're trying to sort out the car, it's probably better that somebody's actually there. Brent, I left it open. You can make your way straight there. So we'll just let him know that he can go there. Otherwise, it's going to be a situation where we're going to have maybe miss some action, and we don't want to miss any action at all. Now we're almost back home, and so hopefully we'll fix this fairly quickly. I don't think it's too much of a major thing. It should be a quick little fix, and hopefully we'll be able to, like I say, get back up and running before the end of the drive. Good. While I head into the workshop and sort this out, let's send you back across to Taylor McCurdy and see where she is and what she's up to since she's left Fang.
Tristan, what on earth have you done to poor Jig Jag? I'm glad it's not me today. We're still on our way towards Buffelshoek Dam. We're actually not far at all now. We are on Inyala Road North, and I think we may or may haven't driven. We have passed Quarry Pan Road. I can now see Buffelshoek Dam, so that's quite nice. We'll poke our noses on up top there. Now, Nikki, as you know, there may be a few gremlins here, but you just have to bear with me for like 2 seconds, because I'll move away from the gremlins. You just definitely when you're going through. Okay, hold on. Oh, can I stop pretending to break up now? Okay, cool. Right. Oh, a heron. Look at it. Nice grey heron. I like the herons. I like spending time with them. Do you remember that one we used to watch at, where was it? Was it Cheetah Plains Dam? No, it wasn't. I can't remember what it was called, but there was a beautiful grey heron that we used to see on a regular basis on Cheetah Plains. Kind of one of the only spots we'd actually see a heron. Used to catch all sorts of fish for us. Not catching fish at the moment, though, just taking a little break. Catching up on some, preening of the feathers. Keeping them nice and clean. I need to get a heron feather for my collection, because I think that would be quite a cool one to get. I imagine a nice grey one. I don't think I've got a grey feather. Oh, very nice. Thank you, James. Richard, you said that who knew that Corey Bustards had their own day? Apparently today is World Corey Bustard Day. It's a pity we probably won't see one. Happy World Corey Bustard Day, everybody. Flap your wings and take off like a Boeing 737, because that's what they kind of sound like when they do take off. I'm just talking from the videos, because I still have yet to see one land and take off. Remember, I was hoping to see that in the Mara. Now, Craig, I found myself a feather this morning, but I need all of the viewers' help, unfortunately. Not unfortunately, that was a terrible thing to say. Fortunately, I need your help. What is this? Who does it belong to? I found it at Chitwa Dam, and it was so beautiful. I don't know if it's maybe an Egyptian goose, or like Nikki said, maybe from a duck or something like that. I haven't got a clue, but I'm genuinely asking, because I think we need to all think and try and guess what feather this is. Maybe together we can come up with some conclusion. Let me put my hand next to it as well. Sorry, I'm just to give you an idea of how, make it a little bit neater. Come on, come on. There we go, repaired it. Feather repair. So it's not particularly large. Very cool though, hey? Pretty feather. So then you can hashtag Safari Live. Once you've guessed, I shall put it back in my notebook of feathers. And we've also got some hippo. Wait, I don't want to tip the others out. My feather collection is getting there, actually. Getting some good ones. I need more, though. I kind of need to tell Tristan when he sees a really cool feather to collect it for me. Or anyone, in fact. I always like to look around from around the dams to see if there are any nice ones. Hippos, you're not playing ball today like the hippos of Chitwa? Yeah, that's why we prefer going there to look at hippos, because they do this, because they just go under the water all the time and then stay under, which is not very nice. Very rude of them. Okay, well, it's very quiet here, so I think, you know what, let's carry on. Let's not dwindle here. We'll see what else we can find. We'll find animals that want to enjoy us. Where are we going to go now, Craig? Maybe we should check Worry Pan. Then I need to turn around. I'm going to turn around here. It was a very pretty reflection on the dam, Janine. I do agree, with the clouds and all sorts of things. It's a pity with all the little ripples, though. It wasn't like glass this time round. I'll just turn here. Oh, you know what, Craig? This morning we were talking about hippos and territories. And on that buffalo thorn, you can see all the dung. So here we go. Here's a nice example of when hippos mark their territories outside the water. This looks relatively old, but you can see all those bits and pieces stuck on the buffalo thorn. Very nice. I'm not sure who's at the carcass. I suspect it may be Brent, but off you go back to it. It seems as though a scavenger is arriving.
Wow, perfect timing. The first hyena of the evening moving in. Now maybe that'll cause Hasana to jump up, lift his head, and maybe come inspect the carcass again. I know Tristan's checked all around, no sign of Hasana leaving, but he could be just sleeping under a thicket somewhere. There's a few vultures that have come back, and just the one hyena so far. Now my head's sort of on a swivel at the moment to see if I can see some little leopard ears popping out as the hyena inspects. Poor Hasana. The elephant's too big for him to take up the tree. Although, being Hasana, it probably crossed his mind. Now, my brother's had some incredible sightings of Hasana stalking and giving hyenas frights. So I wonder if you might do that today. Now, look at this. As the hyena gets in there, look at the flies. Okay, now, everyone, as you know, quite often these situations, if you are a little bit sensitive, it might be a good time to go grab a cup of tea, a cup of coffee, maybe something a bit more stiff, because I'm going to move a little bit closer. It's a good thing I do not have a sensitive nose. Seb, do you have a sensitive nose? Nah. Let's just go a little bit wider. So when I brought Nikki and Co to have a look a bit earlier today, that's where Hasana was sleeping, under that bush. And he's not there. Seb was here earlier today. We came to have a quick show of some of everyone after drive. Now this hyena is going. Oh, it went right inside the stomach. Oh, whoa, we're downwind now. And even if you do have a strong nose, that is properly putrid. That was definitely much nicer upwind. And you should be able to see some maggots by now. Probably still inside. Wow. Yeah, let's go back a little bit. What was that? Hyena is taking off another piece of meat to go stash somewhere. And I think they've fed so well on this carcass, so while they have the opportunity, they are grabbing pieces of meat, stashing them. I mean, I reckon if you go put your foot in any puddle around here at the moment, it's going to be filled with elephant meat. Now, can you guys tell me if this is one of the hyenas that was here this morning? If you do know if this is one of the hyenas that was definitely here when we arrived early this morning, hashtag Safari Live. Oh, just so much food, I'm going to lie down. Well done to, it sounds like quite a lot of people, but Eleanor, Amanda and Judy, you were spot on. Mali is the biggest country that the Wahlbergs will, winter in or summer in if you're in the Northern Hemisphere. I'm very interested. Now, if this hyena was here this morning, so Gizmo says it is one of the same hyenas from this morning. So, as I say, I think this time of the evening, you're likely to have quite a lot of hyenas. They'll start moving in. I'm surprised. Just as I said, my head's still on a swivel at the moment. I'm trying to see if Hosanna is still here. What is that hyena looking at, Seb? Is there anything behind us? Oh. It is very, very smelly here. And the wind keeps blowing us these beautiful gifts. This gusting, foul stench. And it's an interesting question from Adam is, can they tell the different type of carcass by the smell? I'm not sure. I think maybe hyenas and the other predators are maybe able to, but I'm not 100% sure. A very interesting question, something definitely worth pondering. Well, we got, no, not Hosanna, another hyena coming in. It's just behind this bush here now. So I said, I'm keeping my head on a swivel to see if these hyenas coming in might wake Hosanna up if he is just sleeping somewhere close by. Now, if we look at that hyena's body shape, you can see that elongated neck, sandal. That is because they need those muscles. There's a bit of greeting. I'm just going to keep quiet in case they make some audio. So the one that just arrived is showing submissive behavior to the one who arrived first. Oh, tail up. Excited. Excited. Food, food. Okay, well, this is how much we like you. Seb and I are going to brave that terrible stench of the carcass. Are you ready, Seb? Oh, yeah. Of course, I'm just joking. I'm not going to hold my breath for the whole time. But just to get some of the hyena feeding behavior. Now, those big, long necks, you can see how thick and powerful the muscles are on their sandal. And it's so they can break bones and carry carcasses for long distances. Are you going to go greeting again? I'm hoping for some audio of the greeting ceremony. It's very quiet audio at the moment. But there we go, coming back towards the smelly parts. There's a lot of meat left here. Now, the trunk is covered in very thick skin, so it can be quite difficult, LM, for the hyenas to feed on it, especially when it's easier to go inside, and there's still lots of good smelly bits on the inside of that ellie. Oh, that piece that was taken out, a hyena got a fright from the vulture coming down the tree to try and steal it. I was almost hoping Hasana was going to leap out of something. So it pays to be a bit cautious around these big carcasses, just in case lions do arrive. Because if a lion catches a hyena like that and it's not paying attention, that's the end of the hyena. They will almost certainly kill it. So you can see they don't like spending too much time inside the carcass without popping their head up to have a look again. The vultures have found that piece that the other hyena took out and are making quick work of it. Oh, the hooded vulture's stolen it, a big piece of it. Clever. When you're small, you got to be clever. Now, what scared the vultures? Look at that one. You see there, Seb? It's got, I don't know if you can see it. Where'd it go? It's got a big piece of meat in its mouth. And he land somewhere there. Oh, he had a hooded vulture, being the smallest. They've got to be sneakier. They've got to be faster. They've got to be smarter. Yeah, some nice greeting ceremonies going on again. Okay, my head's still completely on a swivel. It's all going on. Vultures back down after the scraps. The hyena might chase the vultures, Seb. So, Final Control said it looks like that hyena's... Was it that hyena? Yes. Had an injury to an eye. I can't see one. Right eye. I don't see one offhand, but the head is bobbing a lot. Someone just sort of told the vultures that the diner was open again, because all of a sudden they're just pouring in. There we go, lovely view of a hooded vulture there. Now, hooded vultures actually get their name because they look sort of like the hooded hangman of the medieval days. But while we stick here and brave the stench, let's go back to Taylor to see what she's up to.
Brent, I recommend maybe some wild basil under the nostrils or inside the nostrils, or perhaps a peg. We, however, when I say we, I mean Craig and I, we are enjoying a beautiful sunset safari. We're just taking a slow cruise down Battelier Road, watching the sun and the golden light well, at the moment it's going through a knobthorn, which is very, very pretty, and I'm trying to go as slow and steady as possible, but there's so many bumps on this road, it sometimes proves to be a little bit difficult. But how stunning is that? And again, I wish I could take you all on a private safari, or just to be in the car with me, holding on for dear life. And even though you may be holding on for dear life and fearing for your life, at least you'll have peace of mind staring at the beautiful golden light. It is lovely. It is so, so pretty. I think we're going to be in for a very nice sunset this evening. There are nice wispy clouds around. You know, no big cumulonimbus clouds block out the sun. So we'll definitely keep an eye. Nikki says to me in this voice, I want to be out there. You can just hear the stress and the panic. She might actually run out of final control. So apologies, everybody, if there's no one directing anymore and you end up getting stuck with me for the rest of the afternoon. How cool is that? Now, I still need to do it for you. I don't think I've ever been able to. But this one time, just before I started doing TV and all these wonderful things, I went out to look for animals early in the morning, and I drove Zoe's road, and it was just as the sun was poking up, and it was kind of about this time of the year. Actually, it was in February, I lied, so a little bit earlier on in the year, and it was so, so, so pretty through all the marula trees and all the tall grass, watching the sun rise. So we need to try and do that at some point as well. I probably won't be tomorrow morning, because I'm definitely going to race on over towards that elephant carcass and see what's going on there. Before I send you to Brent, I just want to show you one thing, because I'm sure he's enjoying having a bit of a breather. He's hard at work today. It's just up on top of this dead tree. We've got some vultures, and they do not have very full crops at all, but one is already taken off in the direction of Brent. There goes another. Perhaps they're heading to the diner that has just opened up its buffet. Maybe we should watch and see if this last vulture is going to take flight towards the sunset, follow in suit of its fellow vultures. It looks like it wants to. Are you going to jump off that way, or are you going to spin around for us? Or perhaps it will just sit and perch itself. Maybe it hasn't made a reservation, or perhaps its reservation is only a little bit later, but time is running out for these vultures, unfortunately. But let's jump back on board to Brent's car and watch the scavengers feast.
Well, indeed, the vultures are not going to want to be on the ground. Uh-oh, what's that hyena? Is Hasana around? No, he must be around here somewhere. They definitely look like they're nervous of something. It could just be, that's quite nice, that little hooded vulture. Look at that. They're trying to chase the hooded vulture off the stick. Now, you might have noticed that there's various... No, there we go. Nikki was also commenting on... Oops, sorry. I'm just listening about lions quickly. Still far away. Evokers. Oh no, sorry, Torchwood Pride, but long way away. I was just trying to listen to see if there was possibility of any vultures heading in our direction. Now, you've noticed that the hooded vultures... Dale was noticed that the hooded vultures had both pink and black, and was it blood? It is not, Dale. It is not blood. They do indeed have pink heads. So let's have a look. That one there. Oh, that one's halfway between. So he's a teenager, or a late teenager. So the adults will have white with the pink, and the immature vultures will have dark brown. And you can see his feathers are turning white. Now, I'm trying to see if there is an adult. Yes, there's an adult in the tree. Directly above where the hyena is. The one on the right, that one there. You'll see there's an adult hooded vulture with the white neck feathers as opposed to the dark neck feathers. Oh, that hyena has gone bottoms up. Oh, it looks like it's trying to pull out a big piece. That's a happy hyena. Now, at the moment, it almost looks like the hyenas are working in tandem. Judy's noticed that one is feeding and the other is actually completely flat and fast asleep. And so do they work as a team? One eating, one on lookout? Not normally, Judy. I think the one that's lying in the grass is just really full and is not ready to eat just yet. And another adult hooded vulture. I'm trying to see, are there any capes close by? We saw a couple of capes this morning. Have a quick look. So, at a quick glance, female and male hyenas can be a little bit difficult to differentiate. However, I'm pretty sure I just haven't had a proper look yet. So I've been trying to see if Hassan is on, so I need to have a look at their stomachs. So the shape of their stomachs is it's quite difficult to see the tummy there. But the males will have actual testes, so we need to zoom in on the private parts there. Let's have a look. That tail, yes. So that doesn't look. Lift your tail, hyena. I can't see the shape of the tummy from the way it's moving. There we go. So that actually does look like a male. The other one was almost certainly a female, the one that arrived first.